Hey everyone, it's me again. And it is time for another favorites video. This time it's July. So first up is beauty, and what I have today is this lovely necklace. It is a rose. There we go, it's a rose. And I got it from a market actually, the Eco Market, which happens every Wednesday at the park nearby my house. So I found this there. I think I got it for like $5 to $8. It's handmade by the person who was selling it. And I've been wearing it a lot, and it's very pretty, and it makes me think of Belle. So I use it for Belle Disney Founding, mostly. Onto clothing, and I know this isn't going to count as clothes because it's a swimsuit, but swimsuit! So while I was in Italy, I wanted to swim in the Mediterranean, but I also thought it was going to be too cold, so I didn't bring a swimsuit with me to Italy, I don't think. So while I was there, the day that Katie and I hiked to Monterosso, which is like kind of more of a beach resort type village. It was the only village that had like an actual nice sandy beach rather than just rocks. So we decided we wanted to swim in the Mediterranean. Only thing was, I didn't have a swimsuit. So I popped into one of the side shops and bought myself a swimsuit. And this is the one. Well, this is the top of it. Obviously there's bottoms, but the bottoms were actually too small. I left those in Europe. Maybe I left them in Italy, maybe I just left them in Europe, but I left them. So I have, luckily, navy bottoms at home that I just wear with it, but I love it because it's a nice size. It's not too small for my liking, it's not too big or flabby or wide or anything like that. It fits me perfectly, and it's just really cute, and it has a lot of memories for me because it was the first time I'd swum in a sea. Next category is like art and school supplies kind of thing. I need to think of a better name for this category, but I'm featuring today this pen. It is a Sakura Pigma Micron pen, and it's in the size 02, and I love these pens, and this is the only one I currently have. I'm gonna try and save some money to go and get a nice set of them, but I've been using it a lot for journaling lately because I recently discovered hand lettering. And I think it's the coolest thing, so I've given it a bit of a try, but mostly what I've used it for is kind of doodle journaling, which is like a bit more of a casual version of hand lettering. Let me give you an example. So this is my journal, and I'm just going to show you that page there. This is just text samples that I'm working on, but this was how I journaled that day. Like, I wrote down about things that I had to remember for work, and about how hot it was that day, and reminders, and I just doodled, and it's just really fun. It's a nice way to keep track of things without having to kind of word things well. And it's a nice way of letting your artistic side, it lets you get creative. And I've been doing that not every day, but quite a bit since that day on Friday. I decided to keep track of what I ate that day because that was the day that I decided to cut out all junk food from my life. And I got to work and someone had provided donuts for all the employees, and so I wrote about the fact that I had to resist the urge of 2 dozen donuts. And I did resist the urge. I also learned how to draw rosebuds that day, so I drew them all over the place. And on the page from Saturday, I put in a ticket from a show that I went to see. And it's kind of like scrapbooking and doodling and journaling all at the same time. And I really like it. So this pen has definitely come in handy for that. It's a wonderful pen. I know a lot of hand lettering people, that's the term. A lot of artists really like this brand of pen, and I'm definitely gonna try and get out and get some more at some point. But for now, this one will do. Next category is books, and this month I have read 2 books that I'm wanting to mention. The first one I bought at the beginning of July and read it the same day, and it is Dreamology, and it's by Lucy Keating. And it's about a girl who dreams of this boy who doesn't exist, so she thinks, and then all of a sudden he walks into her life. And they've got to figure out what's going on, but he doesn't know who she is in real life. So it gets real weird, but it's a really good book. It's super romantic, it's really well done. And I just remember thinking over and over while I was reading it, I'm so glad I have this. Like, I'm so glad I can come back to it and read it again whenever I want. I would give this probably 4 out of 5 stars. If we're going with stars, I should start rating things on here. 4 out of 5 for Dreamology by Lucy Keating. And the second book I actually bought about a month or 2 ago, and it is Anna and the French Kiss. And I found this in the bookstore pretty soon after I'd come back, and it's all about this girl who goes off to boarding school in Paris. It's an English boarding school, but still. And she's not too happy about it, but of course she meets a cute guy, blah blah blah. And part of me was thinking I just want to go back to Paris in a book somehow. And I think this book really captured how Paris feels, especially at my age. And one of the reviews on here is, very romantic, you should date this book. And I was like, well, I'm sold. So I bought it, and it turns out there's 2 more books in this series. And I kind of promised my mom I wouldn't buy any more books for a while. So I'm kind of dying to read the other 2, but you know, I can wait. But for this book, I would give it probably a 5 out of 5, maybe a 4.5 out of 5. It was very good. It definitely was super romantic, and I am gonna read this again for sure. Next up is movies, and first we have Zootopia. I didn't discover it, but I finally got to see it this month, and I loved it. We rented it once, and I watched it for the 3 days that we had it, and then I rented it again so that my friend and I could watch it, and I watched it for the 2 days that I had it, and I really love this movie. I think it's super funny and very tasteful, and I think it covers a lot of topics that really need to be talked about in today's day and age. And I think it does it in a way that kids can kind of see it and think about it, and not just kids, but adults as well. And let me just say, my dad does not like animated movies. He will never decide, hey, let's watch an animated movie. He wanted to watch this. Like, he said he would like to watch it, and then the next day when I was gonna watch it again, he was like, can I watch it with you? And that's a sign that it's a good movie and he really liked it. I actually just got this for my birthday, so that's why it's all packaged up. If you don't know, tomorrow's my birthday, but we celebrated it today. So this was one of my birthday presents. I'm actually uploading a what I got for my birthday video, so stay tuned for that. And then the other movie movie series actually, that I want to talk about for this month was the Pirates of the Caribbean. And if you haven't, for some reason, seen all of 1 to 3 of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, you probably want to just not listen to this part, because I need to talk about it and there's going to be spoilers. So I'd seen 1 and 2, but I'd never seen 3. And I was very nervous to watch 3 because years ago, my dad and I went to just a store to buy a new TV. And while he was like talking to the salesperson, I was just watching what was showing on the display screens. And one of them was showing At World's End. And it was near the end, and I was just kind of like, there's just all this fighting. I was like, ooh, it's Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm gonna watch. And then Will got stabbed. I was like, what? What's happening? And right as Davy Jones is like twisting the blade in his heart, my dad's like, okay, Aaron, time to go. I'm like, what? I've gotta find out what happens. So I didn't find out. And I left, and it's plagued me ever since. And I figured he had to live, but I also knew he wasn't in the next movie. So I was a little bit worried. My brother kind of just recently went through a Pirates of the Caribbean phase, and so I watched with him. And I personally think the second one is my favorite, but oh my goodness, Norrington deserved so much better. James Norrington deserved every lovely thing. He went through the most character development out of anyone, I'd say, including Jack. Jack has developed a little bit, but not the way Norrington did. And he just... I feel like why didn't he just fear death? If he'd feared death, he would have been on Davy Jones's team for a few days before Will saved everybody. And then he would have been alive and free, and he would have had a second chance, but he just had to go out like a hero. He just had to. He deserved so much better, and my brother and I just sat there kind of trying not to cry. And the thing is, I'd seen half of the movie before this, but I totally forgot that Norrington died. And I'm sitting, it happened, I was like, no! It killed me a little bit. I'm not over it. I keep wanting to watch that movie again, but I don't want to watch that scene again. Norrington is absolutely my favorite character, and that's probably why I like the second one so much. Because he's such a sass master in that. He's such a sarcastic... Well, you know the word I want to use. Anyway, I need to stop talking about Pirates of the Caribbean before this video becomes only about that and before it gets way too long. So the next thing is music, and as I mentioned last month, Hamilton is amazing, and that's pretty much all I've listened to this month. I finally downloaded the entire cast album on my phone, used up a whole iTunes card on it, totally worth it. And I don't know all the words to the whole thing, but I know most of the first act. And for any of you who were like looking for music for sunbathing or whatever, I don't know, I like to listen to music while I'm laying in the sun trying to get a tan. Act 1, lay on your back for Act 1, cool down, turn over, lay on your front for Act 2. It's perfect, it evens out, and you get some good color that way, because it's a long show. Only thing is, by the end of it, you might be feeling kind of depressed, and you might just slink back inside and sit in your room and sit on your bed and just think, who's gonna tell my story? Anyway, I love the show, and can I just say, if I were in it, I would definitely want to play John Laurens and Philip. Yeah. I'd want to play two dudes. It'd be great. The other music I've been listening to this month has just been Disneyland music. I really like to listen to that while I'm making art, or while I'm doing homework, or while I'm cooking or doing chores. It just makes me feel all happy inside, and it's gotten to the point where when I go to Disneyland, I'll hear music playing in, I don't know, Main Street, and I'll know the music. Like, I'll be able to sing along and stamp along, and I'll know all the beats and all the notes. It happened while I was in Paris. Speaking of which, that's kind of been another favorite of mine. I don't know if it's weird, but I go back and watch my own videos a lot because I don't really make vlogs for the sake of views. I make them for the sake of memories for myself. And it's a nice way of going back and re-experiencing things. It's better than pictures. Videos are better than pictures, honestly. So I've been watching my Disneyland Paris vlogs and my Paris vlogs a lot. And I actually have quite a bit of Disney show footage in those videos. So if you haven't seen my Disneyland Paris videos, absolutely go back and watch them. They're on my channel, which is where you are right now. And while you're there, you can subscribe. As for YouTube, I haven't been watching a ton of YouTube because I kind of became preoccupied with Pinterest. That's another story. But if I had to recommend a YouTuber this month, I would say Laura DIY. I love her stuff. I think it's really aesthetically pleasing. And I don't think that she goes too overboard when it comes to the aesthetic and just how her videos look. Because I think a lot of lifestyle and beauty gurus tend to go a bit overboard with like the montages at the beginning and all the music and looking super sexy for the camera. And I think she keeps it really real, which I like about her. Also, she's Canadian, so that's cool. And the last category is just experiences. And I don't think I've mentioned this, but I got a new job this month. And it's been really good. I think I can tell you where I work now because it's not exclusive to my town like my previous job was. I'm working in Staples now. And that's really cool. And I'm working in the copy center, which was kind of hard to learn, but now that I've learned it, I'm really happy about it. I think I can genuinely say that I like it there. Granted, I haven't even been there a month, and that could pass. But it's nice because the hours are pretty flexible. They gave me my camping week, no questions asked, and I wasn't even allowed to ask about that at my previous job. We weren't allowed to ask for any time off all summer. And this place, they hired me at my interview, and they asked if I had any questions, and I said, do you think I could have this week off? They were like, sure. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And sometimes they provide pizza and donuts for their employees, which would be great if I wasn't trying to cut out bad food. I say, even though tonight I'm having cake, because it's my birthday. And the other experience of this month actually just happened 2 days ago, or was it yesterday? No, it was the day before yesterday. So there's a theater guild in my community. I'm not going to tell you what it's called because you might be able to look it up and find out where I live, and I don't want you to do that. But they recently put on a show of The Wizard of Oz, and a couple of my friends were in it, whether in the orchestra or in the chorus, and I knew that some of my friends would be in it, and I'm also really into that. I'm going to be taking an acting course in school coming up, which is really new for me, but I've always had a passion for it. So I've been kind of thinking I should get involved in an acting guild. And so there was a fundraiser outside of a store selling Krispy Kreme donuts like a month ago. And we asked what it was for, and they were like, oh, we're putting on a show of Wizard of Oz, you should come. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And my mom and I went to see it, and it was so good. The girl who played Dorothy was just adorable. Like, her facial expressions, her voice, her inflections, the way she spoke, the way she sang, the way she moved. It was so Dorothy. It was like the original Dorothy. So says my mom. I haven't seen the movie, which is crazy, but that's gonna change, I promise. My knowledge of The Wizard of Oz pretty much goes down to when I was in the musical when I was in grade 2. It was very abridged. Like, the other night when it got to halftime, that's a sports thing. The other night when it got to intermission, it was halfway through, and I was like, but they just got to Oz. How can there be another half? I thought they see the wizard, they find out he's a fluke, and then they go home, and everything's fine. And my mom was like, oh no, there's so much more. And I totally didn't know about any of that. So it was really nice, and I didn't stop beaming the whole time. It was just the cutest thing. In my journal that I was showing you, that's the ticket that I was talking about. I put my ticket in there and wrote about it. A couple of my friends were in it, and I got to talk to them afterwards. So maybe I'll try out for another one coming up. No guarantees, because apparently there's a lot of talent around here that we didn't know about, and I don't know if I'd be talented enough to get into that, but we'll see. And I've been filming for a long time now, so I believe I'm gonna go put on my Italian swimsuit and sit outside and go in the pool and listen to Hamilton again. It's gonna be great. So thanks for watching. Thank you for taking time to listen to my favorites, and hey, I've done it 2 months in a row. Look at that. Look at me go. So stay tuned for all of our vlogs coming up, because I'm definitely gonna do that. And I guess I'll see you next month. Peace out, guys. Bye.